Hello everyone. Today I just thought I would show you one of my favorite methods of staying organized when I am working on a quilt that I know I'm not going to be able to finish in a day. I do plan on making this quilt, but I know it's going to be done in increments. I won't be able to sit down and finish it in one shot. So I looked at the pattern that came with my fat quarter bundle and it told me exactly how much fabric I needed to buy for my accent, for my background, and for my borders. So I went out and bought all of that yardage and I put it in this bin. I got this art bin off of Amazon. It was a very good price. And I just prefer to use these because I can put everything in here and keep everything in order. So I'm going to look at my pattern and it uses Alphabitties so that you can keep all your pieces organized. I love using Alphabitties, and if my pattern doesn't have instructions for that, I will just make my own. That way I don't screw up. So on this pattern, there is one section here where I'm going to need a fabric G1 and fabric G2. So I'm just going to actually use my double letter as my G2. That way I know what goes where. I'm going to find all of the letters that I need and just sort them out and lay them on my table. That way I'm not digging through my box looking for that one. I don't cut my fabrics in order. I don't start with A and B and C. I look at my pattern, I read it over, I figure out what I'm going to, sorry to say, but hate doing the most because there are some things that are just not the funnest. And there are some tiny pieces here that need to be cut and a lot of them. So I'm probably going to start with those. So I'll be doing my accent fabric because there's a lot of tiny pieces. And working with smaller pieces can be a little bit more difficult, especially if you're newer to quilting, but you do get the hang of it. And I just like doing whatever's the hardest first. That way it's out of the way. And then everything else seems to go a little bit faster for me, if that makes any sense. But that is just my way of doing it. So I'm just going to cut all the pieces that I need for the accent fabric, and then I'm going to make sure that I label them with the corresponding alphabet and do the same thing with everything else. Here I have all of my background fabrics cut and all of my accent. And for the G1 and G2 fabrics, I do need to sew them together and cut them, but I'm actually just going to leave that until the end because that is going to be my outer border, I guess. For the background, it's not going to be very necessary right now. And then for the border fabric, I'm not actually going to cut that at all until I have all of my pieces cut. So I'm just going to leave that in my bin here. And then that way I don't have to worry about it disappearing on me because for some unknown reason, my fabric goes missing. I tell you, I don't know where I put it. So I'm going to take all of these pieces that I've cut, make sure that my alphabetties are clipped to the corresponding piles. And if I need to, I will fold my strips and just place them in the bin. And that way everything is going to be exactly where I need it to be. But I am ready to cut up the fat quarter bundle. And I like this pattern because it actually has a diagram that shows you how to cut it so that you can save more fabric, I guess, and you're just doing less cuts. And because all of these fat quarters are going to be cut the exact same way, I am layering 3 at a time and I'm cutting 3 layers at a time. If you're not comfortable doing this, then just do 1 at a time. I should have just changed my blade and done 6 at a time, but I was too lazy to change my blade and it was still cutting fine through 3 layers, so I just left it like this. But I'm just going to do the same thing as before, cut all the sizes that I need, and then I'm just going to put them on a little pile and add the corresponding alphabet to it, and then I can place it in my bin. And then when I am ready to start assembling this quilt, all of my pieces will be there, cut and ready to go, and it just makes things a whole lot easier. So I have all of my little fat quarters cut. They have not been sorted. I will sort them once I start sewing them. You could do it now if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. I just wanted to get them all cut because that, for me, that takes quite a while. And if I can get that done in a day, I am very happy. I have 3 small kids, so I can't spend all day in my sewing room. And as most of you know, life has gotten a little crazy in the last few weeks, but we are finally slowly starting to find a new normal. And I'm getting back in my sewing room, which I am very happy about. So I'm just going to place these in my bin as well, and in that way I can just keep everything stored away. This is what I have left over from the fat quarters after I cut the pieces that I need. I am just going to fold those and put them away along with the leftover accent and the background. I did buy more than I needed when I bought it because I do have other projects in mind, but I will not cut into any of this fabric until this quilt top is done, just in case I make a mistake and I need to remake a piece or a unit. I will have fabric to do so. So this is just going to get folded and put onto my shelf, and it's going to stay there until this quilt top is done. And you could really, if you wanted to, just fold everything up and put it on the bottom of your art bin. You actually fit quite a bit in here. Just so if you, in case you're wondering, I will leave a link to these in the description box below. I found them on Amazon, got a great deal on them when I bought them. So just keep an eye out for them if this is something that would interest you. I love these because they are stackable and my room isn't very big. So these are perfect so I can store a whole bunch of projects on my shelf and save space at the same time. Now that I have everything cut, I am just going to be putting my pattern in there and leave everything in here until I am ready to start sewing. And then as I finish each section, I will just put it back in my bin. That way I'm not losing anything. Well, that's all I have. I just thought I would share how I stay organized when I am quilting. Thank you for stopping by, and until next time.